if you was absent or didn't pay attention that day, okay? All right, so for today, it's different a little bit. It's not different, but it's a frequency table. And then we just have letters, but it's going to work out the same way. So remember, frequency table is that we list them into groups, classes, and then we do the tally, and then we look at the frequency, and then we'll look at the cumulative frequency. So those are the things. So let's look at the first column. This is the tally. Tally is the one that we count how many items for each class. And then we have the frequency, which is we just count off the tallies and that gives you the frequency, okay? And the last one is cumulative frequency. That is the total frequency, and that's the one that we talked about. Yes, the test will be on Thursday. I will share the video. Yes, I normally share the link and it's in YouTube. So I will share that. Okay. All right, so the tally is that I'm counting. So look over here for each class. We have the letter. And we just need to go back to the data. Let's count how many letters. So the first one is P, right? So I'm looking here, P, that's 1. There are 2 F, so I'm going to put in 2 tally for the one with F. The C right here, and then J, which is right here. So that's the idea. Even though normally the practice that we've done is giving you the numbers, but it's okay if they gave you letters. If you run into responses, we can count the same thing. Like the project that you did, the short, remember the survey that you did, and some of you asking, what is your favorite color, blue or red? And then you can count, or some of you is like, do you like something? And the answer like yes or no. So that will be the tally as well. The last column is cumulative frequency. So that's the total frequency. Then we go to R. There are 2 R. So 1, 2. C, there's 1. J, there's another 1. R, there's 1. So there's 1, 2, 3 F. So 1, 2, 3. R, P. So basically for the tally, I'm just counting off the data. So there's 2P right here. 1, 2. C, R again. Whoops. P, F, 2P, 2F. Okay. So once you got the tally, the frequency column is by far is the one that I like the most. It's my favorite because it's already done for me. I look at the tally. This can be 5, 2. I'm just counting up the tally marks. 3, 8, and 7. Okay. Now the last part is the cumulative frequencies. This one is the total. So think about cumulative frequency is like your cumulative GPA. You have GPA for every semester for all the 4 years that you're at Northtown, but the cumulative is the total of all the years that you've been at Northtown. So you add them up. So think about the first semester at Northtown, the freshman year, first semester, you have only that GPA, nothing else. So over here, that 5 is the first GPA that you got. So you don't have anything to add for it, okay? Just 5. And then to get to the next one, I'm adding, so this is my first semester, then my second semester. To find the cumulative, I add them. Yes. So I would take 5 plus 2 right here, give me 7. Yes, correct, Francisco. And then again, then you go to sophomore year and then you have another semester of GPA. What you do is you add that one, give you a total again, which is 10. And then you keep adding 18, keep adding 25. Okay, the very last number, this one is the total of all the data. That is mean if you count, there are 25 responses in here. So the very last number for the cumulative frequency is the total, okay, of how many numbers or how many responses I give to you, okay? This one is cumulative frequency, so I'm going to rewrite this. Cumulative. It's really hard for me to write, but it's cumulative frequency. Okay. And Mr. Jar, I typed it in the chat, so if you cannot read my handwriting, there is in the chat, Mr. Jar also typed that in for you. Okay. All right. So any question for me on this one? Like I said, I asked you guys to, if you have papers, do it by hands, do it on a piece of paper so you have your notes. And I'm gonna be honest with you, on the day of the test, you have it in front of you, you can use it. I don't know, right? Whatever works for you, that is fine. Okay. Question for me on this one: frequency table, frequency, cumulative frequency, the values. And the very last number, like I shared with you earlier, the last number for cumulative frequency is the total of all the answers that are given to you. If you count in here, there's 25 answers. Okay. All right, then let's look at the next one. Okay, so let's say if we have the frequency table, and we're going to use the frequency table to answer questions. Like, can you read the frequency table and tell me what that means? So, and then we're going to identify which columns would make sense for us to go back and use to answer this question. For the first one, I say most popular, least popular. And the last question was how many students was polled. So this one, when I say how many students were polled, this means the total, right? How many was total. And then the top is most popular, least popular. So think about, you need to go back, Dominic? Okay. Okay. Let's see. I will turn this to student page. So Dominic, I'll turn it back to student page in about, I don't know, give me a few minutes. I'll turn it back to student page and then you can go back and take notes, okay? Let me see. Okay, here you go. Is that? All right, go. I'll wait, and then for you to take notes, and then we'll. The next one is if the frequency table is given to you, what do we do? Okay. And I know some of you was like, Miss Nguyen, can you just take a pictures of it? That is fine, but figure out a way that you can organize using your phone because it's just going to be so many pictures, right? Cool. All right, so let's look at this one when it's asking for the most popular. The question you're going to ask yourself is which column that you have to look at. Are you going to look at the frequency or are you going to look at the cumulative frequency? If they talk about most popular, is the most the type of music that you like the most based on this table. Anyone would like to guess? I would just look at the frequency, yes. So when I ask for the most popular or the least popular, I will look for the frequency, yes. And then the last one, I say how many, when they're asking about something about the total, then I will look for cumulative frequency, all right? So for part A, the question was asking, what is the most popular one? So which one is the most popular one? Based on my frequency column. Look at all of these values. The top 40, okay, cool. So this would be top 40, good. And then the other one was, the next question was, what is the least popular type of music. So it's the one that you don't like or the least people. That would be jazz. Okay, yes, that's good. J, okay. Yes, one. Emily, yes. And the last question was asking how many students. So the last question was asking the total. So now when you asked about the total, any question about total, you will look at the cumulative frequency. So the total will be the very last number that I shared with you earlier, which is the total, which is 25. So 25 students were being surveyed. So question for me on how to read, like anything, it was like, I'm not sure, let me know. But you will run into some problems where I'm giving you the graph, I'm giving you the table, and I will ask these questions, and you're gonna tell me which one is which, okay? All right, are we good with notes, or should I wait? All right. All right, another thing is, if a frequency table given to you, and then we're gonna figure out to fill in the missing information, which is not too bad, okay? Because if we understand how the frequency table works, we can fill in the information, not too bad. So I'm gonna highlight, whoops. So what we do is we going to fill out the missing numbers. So over here, the very first spot right here, okay? If the frequency, how we know, we look at the tally, is already given to us, which is 5. So I can just fill that in, 5. Okay, so what we need to do is kind of base off the information around it and fill in the missing piece. So we'll do some practice together. We'll do this one together, and then I'll give you some time to try something on your own, and that would help us to figure out what confused for you, and we can help you out with that. Okay, for the cumulative frequency, which is the first one, so we know it's going to be the same numbers. So that part is fine, okay? Anyone has an idea? Yeah, just follow along. I'm recording this right now, so if you need to go back and you need to take notes and watch the video and do that along again, that's fine too, okay? This Pear Deck is in notes folder. You can find that as well. Okay, the next one, if you look over here, the tally that you have to fill in, okay? If you copy from a piece of paper, that will be much faster than doing from Pear Deck. So if I have the number right here is 12, it tells me the frequency is 12. That is telling me, okay, that's telling me that the tally should be 12 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 2 more. Question for me so far before I'm doing the next one. Don't let me go too far in the table and then was like, I'm not sure. So we okay with the space that I fill in so far? I'm highlight the one that's missing. Those are the ones that I fill in. We okay with the tally? We okay with the frequency? All right, so now the cumulative frequency is a total. So I have 5 here. So I have a 5 here. All right, and then I have 12. So those together would be 17. So I'm just going to highlight all the space, the spot that I have to fill in. Okay. So now if I look on the next one, the frequency, I'm going to count off from the tally. So that's 5, 10, 15, and 16. To find the cumulative, I'll add them up. So this is kind of, you have some information, you got something is missing, and that's the part that you have to figure out. So this would be 33. Now this one, I can do the next spot right here, which is cumulative frequency, was 33 plus 14. So that's 7. 47, I can fill all the column, the last column. 47 plus 2, that's 49. 49 plus 1 give me 50. So I can fill that in, okay? The frequency, the tally marked is based on the number I have here. So there's 2, 1, 2, there's 1. This is 14, so I can do 14. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, the tricky part is the classes. I have 2 missing. Anyone, if you've been following along, do you want to tell me, share with me what that would be? Okay, let's see. One, share with me 118 and 123. That is correct. How do you know? And the other one is 130 to 135. It goes by 5. So we know the class width is 5, right? But also, we also know that the lower limit right here, 118, is 1 more compared to this one right here, right? It's 117, so it's 1 more. How do I get that? Okay. So if I look over here, this one, I'm start with this one. You see how this one is 117, right? If this one's 17, the next number is going to be 1 more. So that's going to be 118. So that's how I got 118 right here. I'm using this piece of information. 117 is this number. So the next one going to be 1 more. So that's 118. And then some, based on the chat, some of you already share, the class width is increased. So that's the next one I'm about to go over. So we know the difference between the lower and the upper limit is 5. If you look for each class, is increased by 5. So I'm taking 118 plus 5, give me 123. That's what I would do. The same thing over here. You see how I got 130? You see this 129? So the next number is going to be 1 more, which is 130. And then I know the difference to get to the next number, I just plus 5. So 135. Another trick that I know some of my student was using, there was like, oh, I know this one is 1 bigger than 117, and also right here, you know, it's 124, so this should be 123. So it's a different way to look at it, but whichever way works for you, that's fine. Okay. If there was another class, that would be 136. Yes, if there's another class, it would be 136 and 141. Sorry, you was asking a question? Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. That would work. Any other question about like fill in the table? If you see this and like, how do I know? What about the tally? What about the frequency? I think the most tricky is the class. The other part, the tally and the frequency is okay. The cumulative could be a problem, but I think you guys do better with that. So how do we feel? Okay. All right. Before I forgot, I know we don't have office hour, but if you want to see me 12:45 today, if you want to see me for office hours, okay? And then tomorrow, same times. All right, let's see. I want to see if okay. I want to look for the one that I create so you can practice. Okay, let's do this one. I'm going to ask you, frequency histogram is the one that you guys do really well. So I'm going to go over this one quickly, and then we'll go focus more on how to read the frequency histogram more than how to create it. Because I think based on the practice that we did well. But if you didn't need to do more example, then I totally can do it. Okay, so quick questions. I'm going to highlight my x-axis and y-axis. Tell me what should go on my x-axis. Which columns will go into my x-axis and which column go into my y-axis? Anyone remember? Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Okay. Okay. 60, 69. Yep. So basically this one is the x-axis, this one is the y-axis. Okay, so we have 70 to 79. The last one is 80 to 89. Yep. Okay, the frequency is from the lowest is 2 to 18. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my option would be the scale that I'm definitely would like to use is gonna increase by 3 because I have 6 tick mark and the highest one is 18, so I'm taking 18 divided by 6. There's 6 of them, so that's how I know my scale. To make it easy, gonna be 3. Okay, so that would be my scale. So that's the frequency, and then I'm just totally go from the number. So I would have 2. That is slightly shorter than 3. Okay. And then I can go for the next one, which is 14. It's kind of shorter than 15 a little bit. It's okay. It doesn't have to be exact. Make sure that there's no space in between. Don't make the skinny column. Make it bigger. There's no space in between. A lot of you do it, but you make it so skinny and then you give some space in between, and I have to take out points for that. So make sure you fix that. 18 is the highest one, which is right here. So that's my next column. And then 3, which is right here. So any question for me on frequency histogram? Is this something that you feel comfortable? If it's on the exam, I'll give you the table. I'm going to ask you to create this. And I will ask you to label your graph. So make sure that you label frequency. And on this one, I don't have the space, but this one should be speed. And I know Jennifer already shared that in the chat as well. Share the x-axis is the speed, the y-axis is the frequency. Okay. So question for me on frequency histogram, how we feel about this. No, I'm just on the exam, I will ask you to make this graph. So if I'm giving you the table, you feel comfortable to make the graph, how you feel about this? It's okay? Yes. Yes. And this paragraph will be in the notes. It should be in the notes folder for you if you need to go back. And I will attach the link with the video that we're doing today. I'm recording. It's not there. I just posted this morning. It should be in the chapter 2 folder, note folders. Okay. The video is not there yet because I'm still recording it. So I will attach the video later. Okay. All right, so let's go to slide 8. If you follow using Paradox or you use a paper, then you can watch what I'm doing and take notes. But I'm using the same graph that we just created. But right now what we do is we look at the graph and we answer questions, see if we understand the graph. We can interpret the graph. So here's a question was asking how many people would go in 70 miles per hour or faster. Okay, so we have the option right here. You have the table and you have the frequency table. You can use either one. It doesn't matter. Okay, but this one was asking, so let me label this one again. This is 2. This is 14, this is 18, and this is 3. Okay, so if they're asking how many people go in 70 miles per hour or faster, if you're going to look at the frequency histogram, if I look at the graph, which columns do I look at? If it says 70 or faster, do I look at all of them, or there are certain columns that I looked at? The third and just the third? The third and the fourth, right? So from 70 and higher. So I'm looking at this one, these two. I'm looking at these two, right? So I have 18 here and I have 3 here. So the total for both is going to be 21. So be very careful. A lot of time the mistake we may make is we kind of, 70, we just look at that column and we ignore the 80 to 89. Okay. Awesome. Now, how many people were speeding if the speed limit was 60? So be careful. If you're gonna think about speeding, that means you're gonna drive and you're gonna drive faster than 60 miles per hour. So think about how many people are driving faster than 60 miles per hour. Look at the graph again. Which column do we look at? Okay, some of you said 35. How you know it's 35? So it's the same, yes, so it's the same question like part A, but they changed the context a little bit. There was a speeding, so instead of saying how many people go in 60 miles per 60 mile per hour or faster, there was people speeding if the speeding was 60 miles per hour. So it's the same idea. So I add all of them up, 14, 18, and 3, so that give me 35. Okay, so this one is tricky. All right, let's see. I saw something in the chat. Yes, Rita, yes, correct. All right, so that's slide 8. I'm going to ask you to try. So I'm going to go to slide, not that slide. Where's the other one? Okay. So goes to slide 10. Okay. I have the frequency table. I'm going to quickly make the graph for you. And then I want you to look at the graph. Actually, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and go to slide 10, make the graph. I have the frequency table given to you. I'm going to ask you to create a graph and then answer the question. So I'll have you do that instead of me. Okay. So go to slide 10. Create a frequency table and use the frequency table. Create the frequency histogram and then answer questions. So go ahead and go to slide 10. And I'm going to check in with your work. All right, let me finish up this problem. So you have the graph, okay? And for the wind, we have 11 to 20, 21 to 30. That's how you label this one, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, and then 51 to 60. This is the win, okay? And then the frequency, I know my handwriting is bad, but 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay, and then we have 3, so that's higher a little bit, and then we have 4, and then we have another 4, then we have 10, and then 8. We can do that. So you can make as simple as you want, or you like to make it colorful like I normally would, then do so. Okay, now we're gonna answer the question. This one asking how many teams. So the keyword is how many teams, how many students, how many items. They was asking for the total. So when we think about total, that means we add everything together. So this one I know this one is 3, 4, 4, 10, and 8. I know that information. So the total means I add all of them together. But in this case, I already have the total right here from the frequency table. So I can use the frequency table. Or if you don't have the frequency table, what you can do, you add all of them together. That will give you 29. Okay, so it depends on what's given to you. It's asking how many teams, how many hours, how many students, how many of something. That's when they ask for the total. So you add all of them together. Okay. The next question was, I saw some of you I put in the chat. Give me 1 second. Let me finish up with this one, and then I'll respond to you. How many teams won more than 50 games? So 50 games, I'm going to look for the one that's higher than 50. So basically, this is the column that I'm going to pay attention to, right? Because it's from 51 to 60. So anything higher than 50. So the only column I have is this. Okay, so this would be 8. Can we determine what is the highest number of wins for a team was? We can't. We don't have that. We don't have enough information to determine the highest number of wins. Okay. Because it could be higher than that. It could be the next wins if we want to look at it. All right, so let me check in with the chat. What was the last one on 10? Which one? For the third question, the answer is no. Rita 18, okay.
Yeah, remember guys that for how many teams, remember that you're doing the total. So you always look at the last column of the viewership frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You have, I think you're counting up the classes, like the wins versus how many pounds versus total.
Right.
When you put 5.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the rest should be your practice, okay? What you